All right, Panther Lair, let's talk about how the Pittsburgh Panthers used Blake Hinson's scoring gravity in their victory over the Boston College Eagles this past Saturday. Now, you might be wondering why the very first clip here is from Pitt's game against the Virginia Cavaliers, and that's because I wanted to revisit something that I talked about at the end of that game, and it was that, Virginia used a little bit of split action here at various points against Pitt and had some success. Now, in its most traditional sense, split action, which was developed by the Golden State Warriors during their early part of their championship run. Traditionally, this is a post-entry pass, and once that post-entry pass is made, that the player that made that post-entry pass then screens away for the next closest player, and the player in the post then makes reads off of the screening action that could occur between those two players. So, for example, this would be Steph Curry throwing the ball into Draymond Green, and then him setting a screen for Klay Thompson, and maybe Klay Thompson slips that, maybe he flares off of it, maybe he actually used it, etc., etc. Steph doing similar things, and then Draymond makes a read, and then the Golden State Warriors are pretty much profiting. That's why they won 4 championships, in the last decade. So very successful thing. Now, obviously, college teams are not going to have 3 NBA Hall of Famers on the roster, so they have like different variants of this. It can't be done in the traditional sense. Not every post player is a great passer in college, so the concept remains the same, but necessarily its execution isn't from this most traditional sense. I want to highlight that here. Virginia didn't really run it in the most traditional sense, but the concepts pretty much remain the same. So we're going to play this one out for Virginia. You're going to see, and the player that makes this pass into this entry is not going to be the player that screens away, but you're going to see that screen action pretty much occurs as the ball makes it to that point, and this is to cause confusion here. Now it's in the middle of the floor. This player is kind of already elevated here, so Lowe's not really going to be in this play, and the result is going to be a layup. I highlighted this after their game, Pitt's game against Virginia. So how does Pitt kind of replicate this? Well, they do a lot of this in their 5-out set, where this kind of ends up being this, just flip pin-up screen here that Lowe will set. It's not quite a hawk screen because that would probably have been into kind of this wing, and then Lowe would have just set it this way. So I'm defining this kind of in the similar sense of like the split action here, where Lowe makes this pass into Guillermo and then immediately screens away for Hinson. And you see this, with Hinson's scoring gravity, like no one wants to lose Hinson here. But the reality is he's just too strong, I think, he already has like his own man McLaughlin on his hip, and he's going to overpower Zachary and then just freeze himself here in the confusion for a dunk and one. So a similar thing here, but this is not going to be the same type of split action, only because this ball never makes it back to Guillermo. But again, we're talking about the success or the Pitt's usage of Hinson's scoring gravity. And so again, you're going to see here, and Hinson usually flares off those screens like that. He gets a lot of mismatches when he does that. So that's pretty much what's occurring here. And because of the timing in which, Lowe got him the ball, or Guillermo the ball, now Guillermo's going to lob over the top with everybody staying with shooters, although, Austin going to be the one you're going to help off the most. This just is an easy layup for Hinson, again, using his scoring gravity to Pitt's benefit. And good spacing. Here, next possession, Pitt tries to run the same thing. So you think, hey, Boston College is going to try to scout this out. So they're going to not allow Hinson to just take advantage of this mismatch on Lowe's man and just float himself into the paint. So you can see how much more Austin's man is helping off. Zachary's going to ultimately crash all the way down here just because this blitz forced Lowe to go the other direction. So this play is slightly delayed. Hinson so makes the catch. Now you have Austin's man as the low man fully committed. He is converging. Well, Zachary is going to eventually recognize that Austin is going to cut off baseline here, which he's been very successful doing it the last couple of games. And he gets a nice reverse dunk. So these are the things that I think Pitt needs to continuously tap into to be successful here as they prepare for their stretch run, finish the regular season, and then move into the ACC tournament. Understanding how they can best utilize the fact that teams are just not going to let Blake Hinson beat them. They're going to double him, especially in the post. It's hard to double him on the perimeter because you're, the spacing, and you can't help off all of the other guards that shoot the ball really well, but you can try to double him in the post, and anytime he catches the ball close to the basket. Hinson's not going to have a lot of, assists throughout, every game. He might have 1 at most. I think he has like 22 or 23 on the season, so not really a high number, but this is one such example where they could take advantage of this in 5-out sets, whether it be split action or whether it just be kind of those ghost screens, flare screens in which he gets a mismatch and then kind of slips his way towards the basket, collapsing the defense, and then finding either a cutting Austin or with the help coming off of Zachary, he probably could have found Lowe out there on the wing as well. So really good execution by Pitt here. Another example of how they're continuously evolving their offense, and I expect to see more of this here in the future.